TDS Aftershow 5.
So is that what is turning the algorithm racist? The Amazon one, where they tried to remove bias, introduced an automated algorithm, and the selection process became extremely biased?
Oh, I actually did a paper on that in school because computer science was my major.
Oh,
Okay.
they were
What did you say?
Yeah, you're gay. Shut up.
Like,
Nobody
linked
likes
to
computer science.
something that said on it.
Yeah. Maybe you should have.
The Amazon engineers came up with the most cucked explanation for that, saying that, well, the input data consisted of white supremacy, so obviously the AI only knows how to do white supremacy.
Wait. The input data, as in the resumes, like.
Yeah.
The resumes.
Yeah, because it's because white America is best America, therefore the input data was biased, and therefore the output was also biased.
They basically use their current set of already overly white employees to determine what positive qualities they had, and then tried to hire based on that, so they only got other white people.
Yeah, it's the most cucked explanation ever.
Wait, so Amazon just doesn't hire Asian programmers for some reason?
Well, Amazon isn't a lot about programming. It's a lot about logistics and just moving shit, right?
If the media is talking about discrimination, then you can be assured that Asian people aren't involved.
It's not just logistics; it's also Amazon Web Services.
Yeah, the AWS, but that's a recent player in the field, right?
I know that it makes them a ton of money.
Yeah, absolutely.
They control 70% of the internet. They have a monopoly on online infrastructure, essentially.
Well, they're competing against Google, but they also compete against Cloudflare. AWS is supposed to be a full stack service from literally the transfer of information between data centers and continents, all the way down to the web host. Literally a full stack, not the bullshit software full stack.
Is that the subject of today's after show? We talking about coding and shit.
That's right. Today, welcome back to the JavaCast. I'm your host, King Nerd. Today we're going to be talking about scripting languages.
We're going to talk about Jetbat's adorable haircut.
Oh, thanks. I would like that. That's actually my vote for today's topic.
Yeah, how was your vacation? Did you have a good vacation?
It was a tremendous vacation. Thank you for asking, Brap. I got away to the mountains. I got away from the internet mostly. It was beautiful. I heard the birds. I saw a bear. It was lovely.
We're in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Where
do you not have birds where you live? Is that? No. Do you not have fucking
Did
birds?
you basically play Far Cry 5 in real life?
I'm very surprised you saw birds. So the entirety of the 7 months I was in Georgia, I swear to God, I didn't see a single fucking bird.
Oh, that's another topic. Sean fighting a war against the birds. Someone posted that meme.
Yeah, the mockingbird.
Yeah.
Countries that declared war against birds and countries that lost against birds, being, I think, China and Australia.
Have y'all heard the conspiracy theory that birds aren't real? They're actually pigeons or government spy cameras. Have you heard that?
Yeah, Reagan killed all the birds back in the 80s. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
Yo, I mean, you played XCOM. You noticed that there are birds in every level, regardless of what continent you're on and what climate.
Yeah, no, you were telling me about that the other day. They were fucking pigeons or some shit, right?
Yeah, it's always pigeons everywhere.
They're government spy cameras.
Does that make sense to anybody that the same type of bird is everywhere in the world with no variation whatsoever? That doesn't make any sense.
I could tell hitting enough birds with my car. Those are some very realistic flesh representational drones. I don't know. You can make that into an acronym or something.
They even have fake blood.
Cyborgs.
And guts.
Yeah. So now we need to test if people are real. I want you to hit a bunch of protesters and see if they're actually robots or not.
They are.
Hey,
I want to talk about that fucking clip. That fucking clip of the protesters getting fucking nailed by that car. That's an amazing fucking clip.
I just want to isolate that audio.
They went flying.
Wait, what video? I wasn't there for the video. What video are y'all talking about? Somebody posted.
I'll find it. Hold on.
You'll have to
i5?
point out a specific one because there is several, and in several of those, people do cartwheels.
Hey, did people?
Yep.
I mean, did those people die? They went flying.
One of them did.
One did.
Did they?
And,
Yeah,
and
the other one might die, but
critical condition.
Oh God.
Good. That's good. That sounds like
I hate that every search result is like a BuzzFeed article saying it happened with no video of the event.
I hate that so fucking much.
Oh, it's too
Someone's
graphic.
bad
We're
for
just gonna tell you about it.
No, are you not? Is nobody gonna post the fucking link? I want to see. I want to hear the bone crunching noise.
They just
So
complain
is
they're having
the
trouble finding
liberal
it
media?
because they're not posting.
Oh,
the
nobody's
video.
posting it anywhere. It's fucking like everybody. No, I don't want to see somebody die. I bet it's on live
I
leaks.
posted it.
Oh,
I
you
mean, just
posted?
imagine driving a car into a 100-kilogram sack of wet oatmeal.
Oh, thanks.
I don't have to imagine. I do that every single day whenever I fuck your mother.
Not bad.
Oh my god, their shoes flew off. That got fucking killed. Ah! That's bad.
What?
That's really
That's
bad.
a good clip, right? That's an amazing clip. You don't see that every day.
Well,
The
they shouldn't
sound
have
is
walked in
great,
front of his
too.
car. They walked right in front
Yeah.
of his car.
Oh, I've seen this one.
The audio is very
yeah, it's
satisfying.
nicknamed Two Girls, One Coup.
Well, so he's barreling down the street, and these motherfuckers are looking at the car and just walk in front of it, thinking. So, like, even if he did decide to stop, there's not enough distance for him to come to a complete stop. The guy looks like he's going an easy 60 miles an hour, and a fucking
He almost
Yeah, but
almost
also
drifted
just
his
looking at
tail
the
into the
cars
third
parked
guy.
in the middle of the road, they're kind of like creating this agility course for him, leaving him only a very narrow spot
And you
to
just
drive
know
through,
he's
which is
already
exactly where
had
they
his
all
vehicle
stand.
attacked if he's driving like that.
Well, they
And any good
basically-
driver knows you brake or you swerve, not both.
No, you
Well,
speed
it-
up.
So what did they do? Block off a freeway entrance, not tell anyone else on the freeway they were blocking it, and then just start walking on the freeway in the middle of it?
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing with that trucker in Minneapolis, right? Like, that tanker truck, which was full of liquid, by the way. If you've ever driven semi-trucks before, those things do not stop on a dime. So he's just flying down the road. Oh yeah, look, wide open road. There's no cop cars. There's no flags or signs or anything. And then suddenly he comes around a corner and there's people on the road.
He literally couldn't have even seen them. There's cars in the way.
Yeah, that's
He's
what I'm
like,
saying.
oh, there's
This is
people
what
in the
they
middle
do.
of the road. I'm going to go around them. Shit, now I have to try and drift out of the way. He was trying to not hit them.
He was running.
But
looked
is
like
it
he was running
because
from something.
they,
Well, the highway was already
liberal
closed
media
by the
wanted to go
police.
with the narrative that he was just mowing people down on purpose?
Well,
The
unfortunately,
liberal
the
media-
driver was black, so that narrative is going to fall apart very quickly.
The liberal media wants to normalize violence and kidnapping, which is what trapping someone on the street is. If you prevent someone from leaving, you have kidnapped them.
But the Seattle police already closed that highway before they even started protesting.
The whole thing, it runs all the way to California. They can't. That's impossible. You can't close I-5. They don't have the manpower.
That's what they say. It's that
Well,
stressful.
unfortunately-
They lied to those protesters and told them they closed the road and it was safe. The government killed those protesters by lying to them, not the guy in that car.
Well,
Fucking king
Close
move.
the highway, though. Aren't they, like, really important?
yeah. You
Yeah, the
can't.
highway is how you get from like one
Oh,
city
they
to
didn't
another
even.
city.
They didn't even have a close up. They didn't even like walk up to him and look at their mangled body. Boss man, I'm
Should
disappointed.
we, should
In-
we
in
start
a city like
Twitter
Seattle,
trend just convincing people that the highways are closed?
Look, I don't know much about Seattle. I've never been there before, but just generally living in large urban centers, those highways, those like the interstates, they're how you get from one part of a city to another. You cross a river, or you get across like a large, because Seattle's built into the side of the mountains, the West Coast mountains, like Vancouver.
Oh.
Like the interstates are
Better
like
tone down my racism then.
major arteries for cities. That's why they have 5 lanes wide going each way. That's why they're always jam-packed with cars every rush hour. Like, you literally can't get through a city without them, and you're going to stand on them and shut them down. Of course this is going to happen.
Yeah, do you think it's just that a lot of people just played that Death Stranding game and they just want that to be real life, which is why they shut down everything?
I know, I do.
You want real life to be a walking
says
simulator?
this is a movement that's been co-opted by left-wing white people that have bad relationships with their fathers. And
Yeah, man, I think
that
I think
is
this
literally
Hideo
all it
Kojima
is
was-
at this point.
I mean, it's also a movement of communists that was hijacked by those white people. So, like, it wasn't great to begin with.
Well, wait, the communists were hijacked, or the communists did the hijacking? I thought the communists were hijacking.
BLM were already weird Marxist, anti-government communist like dissidents to begin with. Then the white Antifa people showed up, and then you had the Boogaloo people and the Proud Boys, and all of these people are all out there committing crimes. Every single group has hijacked this movement to commit violence.
Are those like the Tim?
That's the whole point of the movement.
The Tim
Boogaloos
people
are basically
the
where the ANCAPs went when they got disowned by, well, literally every other movement.
Because the ANCAPs are retarded.
Exactly, and so are the Boogaloos.
At least the Boogaloos have an attainable goal of shooting the government.
What?
Whereas ANCAPs is literally a fantasy land that can't exist in reality.
Did you hear about the guy
Boogaloo's
who
were a
tried
made-up
storming
thing
the
overnight
Prime
with
Minister's
this whole
residence?
COVID thing.
Did you hear that they let CHAZ operate until someone went to the mayor's house and it was brought up that they don't like her, and then she was like, protesting's not allowed anymore?
I thought it was when they actually protested in front of her house.
Yeah, it was protesting in front of her house where she drew the line.
That's the same with the Portland mayor.
It's
not the murder of children inside of the autonomous zone by roving warlords. That was fine with her. But people coming to her house and telling her she's a stupid, worthless piece of shit, not allowed. And in fact, she's protected from protests because she used to be a cop. That's her excuse for shutting down protests. Oh, I used to be the worst kind of cop, a prosecutor. That's why you're not allowed to make fun of me. What a fucking cunt.
Well, no, wait a second. Prosecutors are lawyers, not cops.
No, they're cops. 100%. Prosecutors are 100% cops. They're part of the cop system, and they are cops. Everything about them is cops. They are, in fact, the worst kind of cops because they are the ones that violate your civil rights logistically and, like, deny you evidence. Police are just out there violating you physically. They're beating you and imprisoning you.
They're violating me.
You're just talking about lawyers at this point.
No, specifically state prosecutors, and she was specifically the district attorney, the worst cop in the entire state, responsible for the most civil rights violations of any police position. She works directly with the police. She tells them what to do. She essentially issues warrants. She is directly responsible for everything the police do.
Kamala Harris.
Yeah, Kamala Harris would be the worst VP pick ever because she is literally responsible for all of the crimes against the citizenry that people are out protesting right now.
So why is that
Speaking
bad?
of the Boogaloo, did you guys hear of the guy in Canada that tried to storm the Prime Minister's cottage?
That's great. Did they succeed? Did they get him?
No one cares
absolutely,
about
he got
Canada, so
inside.
that's not news.
Got inside.
He got inside the compound. This is the most Canadian story I've ever heard in my life. All right, the Prime Minister right now lives in an like a forested area of Ottawa, our nation's capital. It's protected by a large gated stone and steel fence. He crashes his pickup truck through the fence, which destroys his truck. So he gets out and he starts walking on the grounds with his rifle. Nobody noticed him crash through the fence. So he walks up to the Rose Garden behind our Governor General's residence. And if you don't know, the Governor General's our head of state. He's like a president. Well, currently it's a woman, but that's our head of state. And then the Prime Minister is like the equivalent of your House leader. But anyways, he gets to the Rose Garden behind the Governor General's residence, and he just hides in the garden until one of our security team sees him. And they just kind of like wave at him, and he waves back. And then they realize he's got a gun. So then they start talking to him, and then 90 minutes later, he just surrenders. He just drops the guns and surrenders. But literally, he had 4 guns on him, and he was inside the Prime Minister's compound. Like when you hear someone trying to hop the fence at the White House, they get mag dumped by the Secret Service.
If you try to jump a fence at the White House, you have the entire military force down on your ass, not just the Secret Service.
This guy drove a truck through the fence, and it took him like half an hour to even notice.
And a single authority confronts him, and he just apologizes and surrenders. Classic Canada.
Absolutely. Not even one word of like exaggeration. He said he's sorry. He wanted to talk to the Prime Minister about the 5G conspiracy with the COVID.
Wow.
I have some issues with your mind control, Rays, Mr. President. I would like to speak with you.
Yes.
I understand what you're saying. If not sure if you guys can hear me, I understand what you guys are saying about, as soon as you jump over the fence, you're going to get mag dumped. However, there was during President Obama's presidency, there was one guy who get all the way up to the front door, through the front door, and to the steps of the White House. So
did-
I mean,
I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah, did
but
you have a-
Cantillions, I want to add that I don't think that what you're saying is very valid since you're bald and your mom told you guys were here.
you motherfucker.
Oh
my
did
God,
He have
I'll
like
never
a
hear the
fake
end of it.
press pass though?
Fucking got
Is that
him.
how he got entrance?
That's a good question. I don't think so. From everything that I remember, that did not happen. But of course, it's been memory hold. Nobody wants to talk about it. Not because it was Obama, just because it kind of shows that potentially the White House is not as safe as we think. So that's
It's pretty
the only
damn
reason.
safe. Look, I'm not gonna
Well,
lie, it's
of
pretty
course.
damn safe.
No, of course it's pretty damn safe. But the fact that somebody got to the front door up the stairs means that's a lie.
I think there's more to that story, and I do think that I recall that he may have had like a press pass, which means that he was let in the gate, and then he like separated from everyone and got lost in the
gotcha.
hedges, right? Like he just he was because when they let the press in, right? The press is always watched. They go in and they go to that specific press assembly area in the back, wherever the fuck they call it, the promenade. But he at some point was like broke off. Again, I could just be completely fucking making this up, but that's what I remember from that story. Is like he broke off and got into like a hedge, and no one spotted him, so he just snuck around, got up into the front door, and the first person who saw him just assumed he was press and was lost. It's like, oh, you made a wrong turn, just go that way. There was a guy about 5 years ago who actually shot his way into our parliament in Canada. But because we don't have automated assault rifles, he had a lever action Type 92.
Good for him.
But he did kill one person and wounded one of our officers. But he got into a gunfight with like our ceremonial sergeant at arms, who headshot
Holy
him
shit.
with a service revolver from back when he used to be a police chief in the 60s.
Shit.
That's pretty based.
There's a pretty good video, CBC, our state media, has a pretty good video archive of that. You could just hear all these gunshots going off, and then these loud, like, booming shots, which are the lever action rifle, and then they just stop. And apparently, according to the eyewitness account, the sergeant of arms was beside where the gunman was hiding behind a marble pillar, so he reached into his desk and pulled out his service revolver, ran out his door, dove sideways, sliding on our smooth marble floor, and headshot him while he was sliding sideways.
That's pretty sick.
And the guy's like, I don't know, like 70-something years old. Like, he's not a Marine or anything.
When
Don't
did this
mess.
I've never heard
boomers at all.
This was the Bebo shooting. Here, I'll post a link in general.
All right.
Let me see if I can find the video archive. But like that was our like storming the parliament, right? That was our 9/11. Where were you when the 9/11 of Canada happened?
Oh, you're Canadian? Oh, okay. I don't really respect you anymore.
That's why nobody cares. There you go. Good to know.
Yeah. I mean, my profile picture is literally Don Cherry in like royal regalia. Come on.
I don't know who that is, bro.
Yeah. Then, therefore, your opinion doesn't matter if you don't know who Don Cherry is.
Goes around fucking
No, if he's not important enough for me to know about him, then he's not important.
Oh, by the way, guys, remember when a Bernie supporter shot a bunch of Republican congressmen? I'm really glad we still talk about that.
Yeah, nobody fucking talks about that anymore.
Wait, are you talking about the baseball field or something else?
Yeah, the baseball field.
We only talk about and remember things that are relevant to whatever arbitrary narrative we're trying to spin at this present moment.
So we exclusively talk about 9/11 then.
Solitario, you're right though. That's the whole thing. Is that the only way the media will report on a story is if it fits their narrative. That's it. Only way we'll have. It used to be even back during 9/11. At least we had a story and things would kind of calm down after a little bit. Now it's just outrage after outrage. I mean, things that happened last week aren't talked about this week. It just goes away because they realize that their whole narrative is to get rid of Trump. That's what we're talking about with COVID. That's what we're talking about with everything else. And when they realize that one thing isn't really working, then they'll move on to another one. That's what they've been doing for the past 3 years. So it's gross, but
They have done scientific studies on this now, that the pace of public discourse has accelerated over time, and it's faster than it's ever been before on exactly that, where topics just come and go far more quickly than they once did.
I know. I mean,
There's
do
so
we all
much
remember that the year before 9/11, shark attacks were the biggest news story? Everybody
Yes.
was worrying about shark attacks.
I remember hearing about this.
You
All
guys
right, I put
remember the
a
Irish?
video link.
It's not a trending topic on
I'm watching it
Twitter.
right now,
Does
Tim.
it even really matter, though?
You guys remember the Irish Civil War? Because no one else did after 9/11.
Oh, you mean like with the IRA and shit?
Yeah.
Oh, but
The IRA is a
cool as hell.
huge meme, man.
No, the IRA is
No.
awesome.
What
I'm pretty sure the
modern
media.
mainstream journalist is going to walk into the line of fire anymore? Like, that used to be a thing in the first Gulf War, where you'd get, or in the Vietnam War, where like these military journalists would record gunfights, and some of them would get shot themselves because they were too close to the line of fire. But nowadays, like, every
that still
cameraman
happens,
ran
so-
and hid in the corner.
That still
Yeah, that's
happens.
because you only get people like Tim Pool now who go to
No,
war zones.
you ever
and
watched,
he can't do it anymore because he's famous.
You ever watched Aleppo? I'm pretty sure that was what it was called.
What's Aleppo?
I mean, I'm familiar with it more than vice
What's
president.
the capital of Syria?
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
it wasn't Aleppo. It was some shit like that. It was this documentary. He was a private reporter. I read the book, and the book was really good because originally he'd written it as a book, but then he released all of his documentary footage that he took. And he's like in this base, which was the most like targeted base. I think it was in Afghanistan at the time. And I mean, he's like, some of the footage is fucking raw. This guy's like just sitting on, by the wire chilling, and everybody's getting shot around him and shit. And I mean, he's right there in the thick of it. Well, he did a really good job. And I mean, like, I feel like it's unfair to like, I mean, that's not to say there aren't reporters that bullshit. Yo, that Restrepo, that's what it was. That's the film that I'm.
I think that
Restrepo.
either this one or Restrepo is a sequel to one or the other.
It's Krimcl is a sequel to Restrepo.
That's it. That's it.
Which, so I think it's not really fair to take away, not like glory, but like to say that all of them just sit on the sidelines. This guy's right up in the thick of it. He's doing his job. He's doing what he's supposed to do.
The next topic I wanted to actually talk about, I thought this one was pretty interesting from the show. The Skullgirls Devs DMs, where it's more internet thoughts, getting in contact with people, and just posting them DMs.
Entirely like, I don't know, like a weeb. He just sounded like a weeb. That was all. Like, ooh, I did this thing. Oh, you have this profile. Oh, I'm e-stalking you, but trying to make it not seem weird by talking about it while I'm doing it, even though I just looked through your entire profile and every picture you have. Which, I mean, it's just how social media works, but you can't talk about it without being creepy.
It's like this. It's almost like this is how a dude reacts when he's never received female attention before in his life. It's like, oh, this is a bad look, fella. But yeah, those DMs were rough, man. I've seen some fucking cringe DMs from dudes, but that might be like a
and like she opened
95th percentile.
I don't know, if these weren't like weebs on the internet, I'd say that opening of a conversation is like, hey, do you want to have kinky sex with me? Because that's how a normal person talking about that topic online would bring up a sexual topic. Or not online. When you get into the online world of weebs, these people talk about pornography and their fetishes and like enacting them and how they work and pretend like they aren't having a sexual conversation. It's very bizarre.
What's wrong with talking about fetishes, bro?
Is she trying
Nothing,
to...
but it is a sexual conversation and they act like it isn't.
Oh no,
Like,
I mean,
it's just like a normal topic.
Conversation, yeah. I mean, if you're talking about how you want to cut some dude's dick off, and that's really gonna get your rocks off, then I mean, fucking, that's a sexual conversation,
Yeah.
Or like sounding. I found out about sounding last week. That was
You're welcome.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
You just
yes,
found
That
out.
is morally and ethically wrong.
Jetbat is a master of sounding.
I don't know about
Please.
murder or like rape or those things, but sounding is wrong.
Talk to Thad about sounding. He's actually very open about it. If you want to know
the
more.
only things I've ever seen sounding
Oh, is that what you do,
turns my
Jetbat? Is that what you stick up there?
My warm up.
Not, it's too narrow. Yeah.
Oh, he said it's.
Here.
Oh, it's like one guy, one screwdriver.
Because then he can open it when it's in there. See?
That's pretty talented.
The trick is closing it. That's talent.
That's the hard part. Oh, you completely annihilate your urethra, fucking.
Urethra is such a brutal fucking word.
I knew why they decided to call sticking things down your pee-pee hole sounding.
Pee-pee hole.
Oh no,
But,
because
like-
whenever you pull it out, it makes a sound.
Oh, but like with
It's like
those direct
pull
messages,
starting.
like,
It's like pull starting a weed eater. That's how it sounds.
those direct messages. What I'm not understanding is this woman is trying to make the claim that this guy messaging her was making her feel really uncomfortable and stuff. Is that the context of all this?
If only there was some way to block somebody like that.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking.
if only there was some way to not message people about sex who you don't want to talk about sex. But there's no way that you
Exactly,
could
that's
do
what
that. That's
I'm
impossible.
confused about. Like
Thoughts don't understand consequences and never have.
Like if
Well said.
I'm on social media and a guy starts messaging me things that I don't find that make me uncomfortable, I
Just
don't
block him.
respond or I just block them or something. You don't keep up a
I get weird ass
conversation.
messages all the time, dude. I get some fucking crazy messages. Like,
Well, yeah, because you run in fur circles.
No, well, I mean, yeah, no. Well, even from regular fucking people, like on my alt account, on fucking.
Burn. All right, I'm out. Peace, guys.
No, the opener I got to someone's DM to me was, "Are you a femboy?" And I'm like, who fucking just asked somebody that? Who just says
Somebody
that
who-
to somebody? Like,
Somebody who wants to jump to the fucking chase.
Like I say it a lot, sort of half jokingly, but like the trans pronoun thing really is to introduce the concept of sex into the conversation up front before you even start talking to the person. It's really weird and really gross, and it's increasingly common.
decent one. That was good.
I don't know if I've actually heard that framing before, Krimcl, about the pronoun conversation. You're saying that this is a way to ease sex into conversations more quickly?
Yeah, bringing up your pronouns is bringing your sexual identity into the conversation on every topic. And I like trying to go to these groups. Like I tried to go like join the local Democrats around here because they're the only ones who do anything in town because the Republicans all hide a county over. And like every single one of them is like, oh, we're just going to introduce each other with our pronouns instead of like talking about the things that we were supposed to do today. And it took like half an hour or more. And it felt like a morning meeting in an office with the level of productivity that was occurring.
No, well, I mean, fucking, I think that shit's stupid. Like, whenever fucking the alphabet folks are like, oh, you fucking, like, you know how people say, like, bro or dude, like, just, you know, that's just fucking
Casually.
vernacular. You just say that shit, you know? It's like,
The problem with guys.
no, well, fucking, I call women dude. Like, what's up, dude? You know, like, they're
Same.
just, you know, if I'm friends with them, they're a bro, you know? I don't care if you're male or female. I'm not referring to you as a bro because I think you're a man, you know? And so I hate it whenever fucking the alphabet people, I'm like, oh, what's up, dude? You know, they're trying to talk to me, and they're like, wow, you just called me a dude. And it's like, I literally am not going to speak to you ever again. You are worthless in my eyes now. Like, why the fuck would you talk about that? I really don't care. For you to assume that that's what I'm meaning, like that, like somebody's out to get you just instantaneously like that.
Well, I mean, that's what identity politics is all about, is being a victim. By having an identity, that means that you have decided that the collective oppression of all of those people is also yours. You start
well, it's
under
stupid.
attack
It's
and every...
stupid as fuck. That is it's the dumbest shit ever. I swear. I don't know how anybody can communicate with other people thinking that way.
They
I
don't.
disavow that behavior as someone that belongs to the alphabet community.
Sully, are you a ligabutta?
Oh,
I
oh,
don't-
that
I
explains
don't-
it. You are transsexual. I knew it.
No, I'm not. Not that part. I just don't understand the building your entire personality, identity, whatever, around that one specific thing about yourself that is.
Well, obviously
People-
you don't
people have
understand
done it-
intersectionality.
I think it comes down to identity itself rather than like the actual tenets of it. It is a religious belief. It is a belief that you like ignore facts to pursue, that you fight virulently against when people like try to counter it. It's not like it's kind of a conscious decision, but I don't know. I feel like most people never bother to think too deeply about it and then internalize labels their entire lives because they're idiots.
Like, if you want some insights as to why they can continuously move from one cause to another, like how quickly they pivoted from the trans and the pride parades and whatnot straight into Black Lives Matter. How quickly and organized they are, these mass-produced plastic signs. If you want any insight into that phenomena, and I hate to invoke Jordan Peterson, but cultural Marxism is the best explanation for it. It's this idea of intersectionality where everyone's struggle is commingled, interrelated with one another. So the black struggle, the gay struggle, the trans struggle, they're all the same means to the same, they're all different means to the same end. And that end is the overthrow of the power structure that you blame for keeping you down.
Yeah. I mean, it's just normal, like, communism, when they realized that you couldn't get people to feel oppressed when you pay them because people like money and get a dopamine rush from being rewarded for doing things and for actually completing things.
But it's not even communism.
That's why the oppression didn't work, so they had to make up new forms. They had to make up forms of inborn oppression that exist because of the way you were born. They had to basically create original sin and teach it as a religion to these people in order to get them to comply with their religion, the state religion, communism.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally 100% agree with that one. We, us as a people made a mistake in calling these people Marxist, communists, Leninists, whatever. There are legitimate Marxists out there. They're typically pretty smart people. They're just misguided. They study his writings. They've written well thought out arguments to why some of his things do and don't work. That's not these people. They're not Marxists. We thought that this was all about communism and overthrowing the government. It's not even. It's even simpler than that. Why we called them communists is because they invoke that classist ideology, right? It was the Occupy Wall Street was about poor people who were jealous of the Wall Street bankers. That was Occupy Wall Street, right? So
the other thing you have to remember about these groups is that many of them have identified a legitimate problem, and much like the KKK, they blame the wrong groups. Like, these people are legitimately oppressed. They are fucked over in every interaction they have, but the people doing it is not like some minority group or men or even Jews. It's just,
I agree that the KKK identified a legitimate problem. Let's get that soundbite there.
if you are losing money and your quality of life is going down, you have a real problem. Now, if that quality of life was because you were like literally murdering and enslaving people, maybe your quality of life should go down. But like, it doesn't mean that you didn't, like, you're not under attack, that you don't have an actual problem. Maybe those black people did need to integrate into that community because they had nowhere else to live and would have died otherwise. And they were American citizens. Maybe those people in that town are directly responsible for the things that happened to them. It really doesn't matter, because ultimately, whatever you think the problem is, there is enough of an actual problem to rally people together because they feel it deep down inside. Like the lockdown, people feel agitated because locking people inside is unnatural.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's not just an American problem. Like, this Antifa phenomena spreads all across Western Europe.
I mean, yeah, they started.
Yeah. But I mean, like, this is not just an American problem. This is a Western society problem. This is the culture of the white man. I'll just put it bluntly like that. It's the culture of the white man. That's the problem. And they're just saying, like, this is like a Maddox-style spurgout on a global scale, because they're like, this is
Western
the problem.
Culture is a bit alien to animal nature of humanity. Like,
yeah,
acting like civilized people, not fucking our relatives, not like murdering and raping each other every 10 seconds. These are not things that people naturally do.
Like to know is why in current year I, as the demographic I am, I probably have the most rights and most freedoms my demographic has ever had in human history, and yet we're supposed to act like I don't have those things while ignoring entire parts of the world where there is genuine severe oppression of
like you
the
could
people that we are berging over in Western society right now.
Well,
Yeah,
and that's
like
the
you
thing.
could go on Twitter and end a multi-millionaire's career just by tweeting. Literally, I'm not even joking. There's not one shred of irony in that sentence. You could go on Twitter, post a tweet, and end a multi-millionaire's career. By the way, as a racial minority, let's talk about people fucking with your hair. I hate it. I hate people always trying to like touch and grab my hair.
It's the worst. I want to kill everybody. I have been like assaulted, harassed, and molested by so many people, and they don't listen and they don't stop unless you threaten them with violence. Like I had to hold knives to these people's throats to get them to stop touching my fucking hair.
Like I got really curly hair. My racial heritage is Native American, but I have a lot of like Southern U.S. Native American, so I look very Mexican, right? And I've got this insanely curly hair that can grow out into an afro, and fucking people just grab my hair all the time, and they're like, "Oh, this is so cool," and I'm like, "Stop fucking touching me!" Except you with the big tits, you're allowed to touch me. So yeah, did Joe Biden sniff your hair?
No. I was talking shit about Joe Biden on Twitter, and now my account is locked, supposedly for age restriction. That's the reason they chose to lock my account, age restriction.
All right.
I'm not
Joe Biden,
old
you
enough
shouldn't
to have an
you shouldn't
account.
You shouldn't have tweeted Joe Biden then.
Yeah, you tweeted something about Joe Biden, so you're not black, so now
Hey,
they're going to discriminate
Solly,
against you.
you're underage. Does that mean I have to delete our DMs now?
Yeah, Jetbat has to delete his DMs.
What the
Because
fuck?
we know that Jetbat only DMs underage people, right? That's
Not
Well,
that's
no,
another
so
thing.
he's a Janny now, so he has to groom him. You know, that's just how it works.
The job.
I mean, we're all on. We all are on the child grooming platform right now, Discord.
Yeah, well, you know what they say: if you ain't grooming, then you ain't grooming in this Discord.
If you ain't
room.
grooming, you're probably getting groomed.
I was trained by Jim.
There
Jim
are
trained
only
me.
groomers
He groomed
and
me.
the groomed, and no other people.
The groomee becomes the groom.
Exactly.
You know what I fucking love? You make plans and they fall through because people just are lazy.
Oren, shut up.
Have you ever considered that your friends actually hate you and aren't actually your friends and laugh at you behind your back?
Every day.
I'm just assuming that's what everyone's doing.
That's okay. I'll have the final laugh when I conduct the school shooting.
Yeah.
Disavow. Good luck doing a school shooting when everybody's fucking home.
I'll get banned.
It's called home invasion.
Well, I was homeschooled, so.
It's a serial. It's like a
To do
serial
like
door-to-door.
you're gonna have to do
Man
more
kills
of a
his family in
purge
school shooting.
situation
You'll
than a
just see the
Columbine
PNG of a gun
situation.
and all your schoolmates.
You know, people make fun of Canada all the time because we can't get like military-style assault weapons up here, but I have yet to see any, like the Las Vegas shooter is the only exception, but that was a controlled op anyways. Where
that one was
someone
weird.
with one of those assault style weapons has been able to actually hit what they're aiming at. All right. In Canada, I have a 5+1 308 hunting rifle. I can get whatever I need done with that rifle that better than you can get done with an AR-15.
All right, keep an eye on that guy.
No.
Yeah, but does your AR? But does whatever you just said have cool rails for every accessory under the sun?
Yeah, absolutely. There is zero restriction in Canada on rails, and the only restrictions on accessories are bump stocks. Like you can put whatever you want for sights, lasers, scopes.
Washington has really stupid laws. You're only allowed, I think, 2 features. So you can't, or 1 feature. So you can't have like a pistol grip and a bayonet, or like you could have an underbarreled grenade launcher, but not with a pistol grip. Like the laws make no
bayonets
sense.
legal?
I sure hope that you have
bayonets
wood
are
furnishing
legal
on
in
that
Canada?
gun. You know, it's less lethal with wood furnishing.
Yeah.
How do you feel celebrating 4th of July at a time in America where you're having all your freedoms taken away? How did that feel, unironically?
I just
It felt
like blowing
really
shit
annoying
up.
because all the explosions wouldn't shut up and they weren't aimed at police stations.
I celebrate 4th of July every year by posting pictures of the White House burning down.
It's all right. We don't have Justin Trudeau as our president, so we're doing all right.
Someone might get.
Well, he's not our president either.
November.
How is he not your president?
Because we don't have presidents.
Yeah.
Okay, if you want to, smart ass bitch, I swear.
What are your guys' thoughts on Bruce's call-in about CHAZ?
I don't think CHAZ is really worth talking about anymore. Nothing interesting's happened. Oh, they're just killing each other. Okay, that fucking happens in Chicago all the time. Nobody cares.
Yeah, let the meme die.
Yeah.
It was interesting the comparison that was made about all these white people coming in and just treating it like it's a festival, and then Dick making the statement that, oh, they're just mad that Coachella was cancelled, so they're just making this their own little Coachella, and totally taking focus away from what this is meant to be about.
I mean, basically, if you cancel everything else and then you're like, oh, hey, by the way, there is an event, it's a giant terrorist attack 6 blocks at the city for the next week, you're like, oh, hey, yeah, I'm in, let's go.
I mean, let's be very real with ourselves and admit that we would all participate in a terror attack if we knew we could get away with it.
I would never do that. That is a crime, and crime is illegal.
Yeah,
not in Seattle. Certain crimes are not illegal in Seattle, and
I only encourage violence in an indirect, non-time specific, completely legal way.
All right, I guess I should call Nick Rackets then to make sure I get my story straight.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do is just stop talking. That's the best thing.
I want to call my
And
lawyer.
I would never ever participate in a terrorist attack. Just want to make that clear.
Yeah, I want to make
nothing I
clear to
do
all
would
the
ever be
FBI
terrorism.
agents listening right now, I'm not even in your country, so fuck off.
Thank you for joining us for TDS Aftershow 5. Go fuck yourselves.
Yeah, edit that shit out.